Christians in the Holy Land are the oldest Christian community in the world.
Arab Christians are from the beginning.
We are the indigenous Christians here.
Since Jesus Christ.
We've been here in the land since the Pentecost.
We lived for more than 2,000 years in this country.
This is where it all started, and for centuries and centuries they were the principal community in the Holy Land.
Their presence here is historic and goes back to the first day of Pentecost. People ask us, like, when were you converted? Thinking we are converts of Islam or Judaism at some point, but we tell them, like, Christianity started here in Jerusalem, not in London, not in Melbourne or Sydney or United States. And Jerusalem is the birthplace of Christianity.
They are a suffering church. We've seen over many, many decades how the church has suffered in the Holy Land, how Christians there have had difficulties. I've had personal experience of that working out there.
We are a church of Calvary. That means we have to suffer, we have our cross, we have our problems.
We live under occupation.
We don't control our future. We don't control our economy. We don't control our movement.
The situation here is very difficult for the restrictions, for the occupation, for the isolation of the people.
I myself always lived under occupation. That means that we are in a big prison. And they block all the roads to control everybody. And the soldiers enter here anytime they want. We are not free to go everywhere we want to go because we are Palestinian. And Jerusalem, we can't go to Jerusalem. The wall of separation passed through the land of Abud. And they took 40% of our land. And we have not the right to go to pick up the olive trees.
If I'm going to talk about the detrimental effect of the wall, it breaches the path of faith between the moment of the Nativity in Bethlehem and the moment of the resurrection in Jerusalem. And in Palestine, the memory of faith is interconnected by the memory of space. And now in Bethlehem, we have a full generation of young people who never had the opportunity to be and pray in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
In my case, my wife is an American citizen, so she travels on both sides of the wall, meanwhile I cannot. I cannot be with her, for example, with the Christian community that she's part of. So the church that she prays at, I cannot go to. Traveling with her to be with the Christian community even that inhabits the land that's on the other side is not something that I can do without having permission.
A restriction of movement, not only Christians, and for all the Palestinians, in moving from one town to another. We always say that Jerusalem, as the city that belongs to the three Abrahamic faiths, must be an open city for everybody. And all the believers must come to Jerusalem without any restriction.
I have many young people, they can't go to the university.
You can see job opportunity is highly affected by the wall.
A lack of finding jobs. You can find many young people, but they are sitting at home. They cannot find jobs.
So for young people, for example, who graduate from university, who look for work, for a job, they cannot find stable jobs. This is an unstable situation here. They cannot begin a business. Many businesses had to close with all those economic restrictions put on the Palestinians.
Many families, they immigrate outside. And this is one reason of immigration: lack of jobs, lack of security, and because there is limited opportunity for work.
Because the Christian presence, one day it was around 27% of the population. I'm talking about 1948. But now we are less than 2% of the total population. It means that we are dwindling as a Christian community in the Holy Land.
In Jerusalem, we were almost 30%. Like 40,000 Christians were living in Jerusalem before 48. And now in Jerusalem, there are less than 8,000. So there's a huge drop in percentage and number.
Christian and Muslims, they are immigrating at the same rate. But because we are a minority, 2%, it is very noticeable.
I myself ask myself right now, do I want to bring kids to this life in this land right now? Do I want my kids to suffer what I suffer? And this is something that poses the question for many of my age. And maybe the solution is to leave the country and go immigrate and live in a more secure country.
We cannot talk about challenges only for the Christian community, because challenges and problems face every single Palestinian person.
Abud is a small village. We have here 2,000 people. Half of them are Muslims, the other half are Christians. We are in very good relationship.
For many, many, many years, Christians and Muslims live together in this place as real brothers and sisters here. We attended each other's weddings and funerals and social occasions. Christians and Muslims have faced, almost same threats together, especially in the face of occupation in the West Bank, for example. Their suffering is the same, their endurance is the same.
Palestinian Christians need to find work and a house. Once they have an income and then a house to live in, they will stay here in this country.
Friends of the Holy Land was started from a pilgrimage in 2007, led by now Cardinal Vincent Nichols. And having come back from that pilgrimage, he and our founder chairman, Michael Whelan, said, we must do something to help our Christian brothers and sisters in the Holy Land. And those were the foundations of the FHL being launched in 2009.
Well, it started for me as a result of a diocesan pilgrimage to the Holy Land. And many people came back saying, what can we do? What can we do? And the Friends of the Holy Land was born to give people a way of responding to what they'd seen on pilgrimage.
So on behalf of the Christians in the Holy Land, the objectives of the FHL are very clear: to raise awareness of their plight, to pray for their intentions, to offer practical support, and to encourage pilgrimage.
When it comes to practical support, we have a local committee, and they're the ones who identify needy families and how we can help them with education, employment, health and housing.
I am the headmaster of the Greek Orthodox school at Beit Sahur. It's one of 56 Christian schools in Palestine. Education is very important for us here. If they are educated, they can find jobs, they can support themselves, and life will be much easier for them. Many families, they cannot afford paying for the school tuition. They are barely having salary to just feed their children in some cases. So the FHL, how they help these families by helping them in paying part of the tuition fees for the schools.
I think the education is very important. I'm very proud that I continue my 20th year here in Bethlehem University. It is the first university in Palestine. We started with like 50 students to support like 3 years ago. Now we are aiming to help almost 300 students between the universities, between the schools, and of course the number year by year it's come bigger and bigger. So I think without helping these people, maybe some children will quit the school, or just he will finish his 10th grade or 11th grade and afterwards he'll be in the street, or he will work not even in minimum wage salary.
There are people who need work, who can work, but they don't have job opportunities. We try to provide them with whatever they need. For example, there is a touristic industry in Bethlehem. They need instruments, a place to work so that they can provide an income for their families and be productive instead of receiving only financial help. This is an important way to help them so that they can help themselves and help their families to have a sustainable help.
Well, other challenges is health problems. Unfortunately, we don't have enough specialized doctors and enough hospitals. So many people who are sick, you have to pay for treatment. We try to help them in different issues, making small operations that they cost money, and many people, they cannot afford it.
St. Luke's Hospital, it's in Nablus city. St. Luke's Hospital is one of the oldest hospitals in Palestine. I'm the General Director of St. Luke's Hospital. We are the leading hospital in the West Bank for neurosurgery. For example, our microscope, it's not found anywhere in Palestine. In 2008, we had really very serious financial problems that led to we closed the hospital for a month because at that time we couldn't pay the salaries for the employees and the running cost. Here in the community, it reflects so badly. And after that, Bishop Suhail Dawani took the decision to reopen the hospital. And now with the help of Friends of the Holy Land, they support us to cover the bills of the needy Christian families who really need this help.
There are very few special needs facilities over here, and so the School of Joy is a school we support on a regular basis.
This is one of the only schools in the area which look after children with special needs. We have children with different challenges, learning difficulties, Down syndrome, and some traumatized and emotionally disturbed children. We look after their education, healthcare, and food, as many of the families are extremely poor, and the only decent meal they get is at school. We do our best to rehabilitate them back to a normal life. But most important, we want the child to grow up and be productive. This is our aim for the child in the future. We call this School of Joy, to give joy for life.
As well as supporting the young, we're here to help the elderly. And indeed, St. Martha's House here in Bethlehem was the first daycare centre in the city. We've supported this house since it first opened in 2009.
عايشة لحالي في البيت لحالي في البيت لأنه جوزي مات ب20 سنة والأولاد ما أجاني وأنا لحالي في البيت.
The women gain great strength of being together. Every day after breakfast and prayers, they play board games and cards and really enjoy the social interaction of being with others. Many of their children have emigrated abroad and frankly they've got no one else to look after them. And so St. Martha's House helps people from Bethlehem whose lives have been affected with real hardship as a result of warfare and discrimination. This centre ensures that the last chapter in their lives is going to be marked with some dignity.
That there is a real problem of water here in Palestine.
We have a scarcity of water that really affects our life.
There is a real need because Israel is controlling the water, and it takes more than 80% of our water to settlements and inside Israel, leaving us with around 17% of our water.
We have the richest reservoirs in Bethlehem. It's very well known in all the West Bank. But we have to buy our water from Israel because we are prevented from digging. Our reservoirs are in our own land, but we cannot use the water.
أي بيت يعني فلسطيني بتغلب بالمي لأنه كل بيت بده مي كل بيت بده مي فبيضطروا يجيبوها بس يوم واحد بس على كل منطقة يعني على كل منطقة يوم بس بعد مرات 3 أسابيع كل 3 أسابيع مرة. المي مهم كتير المي بدون مي ما بنعيش بس إيش بدنا نعمل يعني.
So we try with FHL to find some solutions. Sometimes simple solutions such as a water tank.
The Friends of the Holy Land are very keen to embark on a programme installing water tanks and roofs on the homes of families who frankly can't afford this outlay. It's got to be the right of every individual to have access to water.
We are all one family, Christians here in Nablus or in Palestine. We are brothers and sisters in one family, whether Anglicans or Orthodox. So Friends of the Holy Land, they give us the support for the Christians in general.
This is an ecumenical charity working with all Christians in Palestine.
The Friends of the Holy Land are ecumenical, bringing Christians here together because they're focused most clearly on a single identifiable objective, to support Christians in the Holy Land. And that is of great value. We come together and realise we're part of the same family.
One differentiation of the Friends of the Holy Land is that we are specifically non-political. This enables us to focus on our work more effectively. There are many other organisations out there involved in campaigning that cover that.
We say to people, come and see. Come to the Holy Land, visit the Holy Land.
Well, we go to the Holy Land because it's the streets, it's the places where Jesus lived and walked, where he ate, where he wept, where he suffered, where he died, and where he rose again. And the Christians who gather there, who lived there for generations, are, as it were, the living stones that we go to visit, and who share their faith with us, and we can share our faith with them.
They have to come to us to visit our churches, see our communities, to contact us, so that they can see, they can touch our wound. And that's enough for us. When sometimes helping people, giving money, it's not important. It's not that important.
It's very easy to be in the mode of sending a bit of money or something like that. Where people are suffering, the most normal feeling is of isolation. Therefore, where at all possible, to be visited, to see people come and buy things in shops and stay in hotels and visit the places in the Holy Land is hugely, hugely important, and I warmly encourage that.
Many just visit the Nativity, 3-4 hours, and leave the city. But you don't see the active city, the alive city, where tourists go like in the Vatican or Lourdes or any other religious place. What makes a place is its people.
Now you give us the hope. The pilgrims give us the hope. And this is the most important thing, is to give hope for the Christians in the Holy Land.
The Christian presence is needed here. It's needed to witness our faith in Jesus Christ. It's needed for the future of justice and peace in this country. It's needed for reconciliation that we really look forward to in this country. So by supporting the Christian community, you support the oldest, the Mother Church of Jerusalem, like it was done during St. Paul's days when he asked the help for Christians of Jerusalem. And at the same time, you help the cause of justice and peace in this country by showing your concrete, costly solidarity with your brothers and sisters in Palestine.
We haven't the right to be afraid, despite everything. Church of Calvary, okay, but in the same time, Church of Resurrection, hope, joy, and welcoming.